Hello again, everyone. I'm Dr. George Simon, and welcome to another edition of Character Matters, the program where we talk about what I consider to be the defining issue of our time, the character crisis that we've been in for some time now, and that affects every single aspect of our lives. And today I want to talk about a topic that I first started researching and writing about and doing workshops on in the late 80s and early 90s, eventually releasing my first book, In Sheep's Clothing: Understanding and Dealing with Manipulative People, which first introduced the phenomenon we commonly call gaslighting. My research and clinical experience taught me two things: that our traditional psychology paradigms were overly steeped, overly concerned with the ways in which people tend to run from things out of fear and insecurity, the defensive postures they take, and didn't pay enough attention to the ways in which people fight, which is a much more common aspect of human existence. And I also came to appreciate that the notions that we had about when people do fight were inaccurate much of the time. We commonly believe that people only fight when they feel threatened in some way, completely negating the notion that it's part of our hard wiring to seek things that we think will bring us pleasure, not just the things that we think will avoid us pain. And we sometimes seek those things quite rabidly. When we do it with principle and with care not to injure, we call it assertiveness. But it's pure aggression when we do it unreservedly, unnecessarily, and without sufficient care not to injure. As human beings, we do much more fighting in our daily lives than we do running. And we don't just fight out of fear or out of defensive postures. And some folks are adept at learning early on how to fight in ways that are stealthy, underhanded, not so obvious as to be easily detected as purely aggressive acts. They use certain tactics that make it seem sometimes like they're doing almost anything but just trying to have their way with you, trying to dominate and control the situation. So their aggression is undercover. It's covert aggression. And that's the very heart of manipulation. And that's what I first wrote about in my book, In Sheep's Clothing. And the more clever they are at using the various tactics, and the more passion sometimes and apparent conviction they put into the use of the tactics, the more it enhances what we call the gaslighting effect, making you feel a bit crazy because in your gut, you sense that they're just trying to get the better of you. You sense that they're trying to dominate and control the situation, but you can't objectively prove it necessarily. When they play the victim, for example, make you out to be the aggressor when they know very well that they actually are the person causing harm. Your gut tells you that they're just trying to get you to capitulate. But the more passion they put into it, the more you question yourself. This is the very heart of manipulation and the gaslighting effect. Other tactics, like seduction in its many forms, that can include love bombing, as we call it these days, ego massage, seeming affirmation, piling it on. These things are all designed to curry your favor. And in our day and time, it's absolutely essential that you have the resources and the awareness necessary to determine whether someone trying to cultivate your favor truly does have the character to merit that favor. Sadly, We live in times when character dysfunction of all types and all manner is more common than it once was, and where serious levels of character dysfunction are troublingly more common. Over decades, we became desensitized. We increasingly gave poor character a pass. We got to a point where we no longer expected decency of character, and we lost our ability to properly judge and vet character. But perhaps most troublingly, we allowed it to not matter so much in our decision making, not only about our various human affairs, but also our relationships. And we're paying a dear price for that. Character matters. It always has, and it always will, regardless of the importance that we attach to it for various reasons. When we sacrifice character, we sacrifice everything, and we put everything at risk. To a large extent, we can judge a person's character by their willingness, when they do fight, to fight right, with principle, for just reason, to repair injustice, to be constructive as opposed to destructive, to make things better instead of worse. But the stealthy, underhanded fighters of our time are determined to have what they want by covert means. They're unscrupulous, selfish fighters who simply want what they want. They don't fight with principle, and they don't fight to truly build or construct anything positive, but only to dominate and control a situation and have their way. And they do so mostly by covert means. We've become a society full of unscrupulous fighters, and it's cost us much, and things must turn around. How they'll turn around is one heart at a time, the same way we insidiously got where we are with character-related problems. And that's why I've written my most recent book, Essentials for the Journey. I'll have more to say about these issues in upcoming episodes. And I'll have more to say about future changes in the blog and these podcasts over the next few weeks. In the meantime, I invite you to visit the blog at drgeorgesimon.com for the hundreds of timely articles available free of charge, and to avail yourself of my books, all available readily on Amazon and in multiple formats, especially my books In Sheep's Clothing, Character Disturbance, and my most recent offering, Essentials for the Journey. Until next time, then, thanks for tuning in. I'm Dr. George Simon. Take care.